I'm your host, Rob Carbone. This is BD4.
Barrett, some shake and bake, gets a three. Stands alive in the crowd with Barrett. Oh, hang on to the roof. Goodbye. Anthony for three. That one goes down. Gotta put 4 fingers up when Torres comes to the plate.
All right, I'm going to get technical here because we can get technical. Technically speaking, if you look at the numbers, and you know the numbers never lie, the Knicks are on pace to make the playoffs. Meanwhile, the New York Yankees, losers of 2 out of their first 3, are on pace to miss the playoffs. Has that ever happened before in the history of the two franchises being around simultaneously? Has that ever happened? I really need to find that out. That should have been one of my questions of the day. Has that ever fucking happened? Where the Knicks made the playoffs in the same year where a Yankees team did not. I'm trying to think if that was 2013, where the Knicks were led by Woodson to 54 wins. R.I.P. Woodson, man. And was that one of the years where the Yankees didn't? One of those Lyle Overbay, Jason Nix, you know, one of those down years? That might have... Or was that 2014 when they missed out? Maybe it was 2016. I don't know. Yeah. Fuck. Yeah, I don't know. I might be wrong. But yeah, I don't remember. So, you know, you look at the statistics here and you look at the... Hey. Crazier shit has happened. Has it, though? Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just speaking the facts here. The Knicks are 500, the number 6 seed, and the Yankees are, what, in last place? No, I think Boston's 0-3. But, hey, I'm just saying, man. It was a rough fucking couple of days for the New York Yankees. Let's be real. But it's opening weekend, man. It's opening day. A couple days ago was opening day. Today's actually Easter, so happy Easter to all who celebrate, and God bless. Hope you had a good, blessed Easter with your family and friends. And it's day 3 or day 4 of the regular season. Game 3 for the Yankees took place today. That all took place this weekend, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday for the Bronx Bombers in New York against Toronto. And yeah, we'll get to that. It sucks to lose, dude. You know, especially on opening weekend. You get all hyped up. Baseball's back. You start thinking of the good weather on the horizon here. Summertime's a coming. Spring is here. Hot dogs. It's good to see fans in the stands. You know? I'm just so it's my favorite sport. Like, as much as I love the Knicks, there's nothing beats baseball season. Nothing does. I don't care what sport you like. Baseball is, to me, it's my entire life. It was my childhood. It was everything to me growing up. Just in the summers, we were for like my family. I got a big family, and cousins my age, siblings my age. You know, I've got a lot of family, and my neighbors were always around my age. We'd always, growing up, I'm 26 now. Oh, 26 in a few weeks. Oh shit. But like in the summers, growing up, all my cousins, my family, friends would come over, and there's this big field. Well, not anymore because they put a fucking house there, of course. But there used to be this big field right in my backyard. A big field, like the size maybe of a football field, maybe a little smaller, in width. but it was the length. It was about 110 yards. In my whole life, we would just play baseball in the backyard. We would play, me and my cousin and I, my cousin, one of my best friends, Mike. We would spend hours every summer day out there with one of those Ken Griffey Jr. black wiffle ball bats, and we would smack the shit out of those solid white wiffle balls, those solid ones that you could just crank. We would smack those, and there's at the end of this field, there was a fucking, there was a fence, but it was covered in bush, ivy, leaves. So it was like, it would look like Wrigley Field. And the fence was really tall. So we gave it a name. I forget what the name of it was, but it was kind of, we always joked about it, how it was like Fenway and Wrigley combined, because it was this big, giant, tall fence with, again, bushes all around it, and some other, some older gentleman, poor bastard, on the other side. But my cousin Mike and I would spend hours every day of every summer for years at the top of the field, throwing the ball up and hitting it over the fence, and we would keep track. Looking back, I'm pretty sure none of us had the exact amount that we hit over the fence, but we had this count that we just went by with each of us. And we would remember this number every single day. We would keep it in our heads. So the next time we went out there, we would keep it going. I'm at 365. What are you at? I hit 273 over the fence. And we just kept doing it every summer. Just obsessed with hitting them over. And we would count it like it was our career home runs. And like once I got past 600, at the time A-Rob was around his 600th home run. Or maybe 500. And I was like, oh, I just beat A-Rod. Where are you at? He's like, I'm approaching, yada, yada. Like, we would fucking take that shit like it was legit. And we would do that. My siblings, my other cousins would play just wiffle ball games in the backyard. We had a big yard before all these, before everything changed with the houses. And the field was like the big baseball field where we get everybody to come. Then we have our backyard. It was like a little wiffle ball field we used. So we had a bunch of different setups. But yeah, man, I'm just so happy. I'm just saying this because I'm so happy baseball is back. And, I have so much memories just playing baseball with my family and friends growing up. And, like, it means so much to me, baseball. And so to have it back and to be able to watch it again, it's just the most reliable sport there is. There's no other sport that you can watch every single day for, what? March, April, May. Also, we'll exclude March. April, May, June, July. Yeah, for like 6 months. There's no other sport you could do that with. It's so reliable. You get home, nothing to do. Oh, I'll put the game on. I'll fall asleep with the game on. Just any baseball game is always on. I just missed that. I've missed it, even if it was just one off season. I missed it so much, just not having baseball. So I'm glad it's finally back. It's the best, man. And so now, and as a Yankees fan, I live like 25 minutes from the stadium, maybe without traffic. With traffic, it's not even that bad. So I'm always, I've grown up going to the games constantly. And, these past couple of years, obviously, before COVID happened, my cousin and I have started developing this tradition, I guess, where we go to a couple of games in the regular season and then we go nuts and go to all these playoff games. And again, before COVID, we went to a road game in the playoffs. We went to Cleveland in 2017. It was Game 5 against the Cleveland Indians, obviously. And we won that game, right? It was the game where Didi hit the home run. It was back when Jay Bruce was, very productive and younger. But yeah, man, I just so many good memories as a baseball fan. That's all. So I'm glad it's back. Very glad it's back. But yeah, it sucks that a bit of a buzzkill, I guess, to start the year here for the Yankees, dropping 2 out of 3. A bit of a buzzkill, but I like to win. What, man? I like to win. People get on me all the time because I'm tough on this team, And I'm telling you right now, don't take what I say on Twitter or Facebook seriously if you see it posted during the game. Chances are I'm going to, what do you call it? Venting, right? When it's like rage tweeting. I do it out of frustration, all right? So take what I say seriously only in the blogs or in the podcasts or maybe in a post a couple of hours after the game or before. Don't take anything I say serious on social media during the middle of a game, especially if they're not playing well. Please take that with a grain of salt. But I do get a lot of heat as somebody who's, I guess, tough on this team. And I'm only tough on them. I'm only tough on them because this is the Yankees. And the Yankees' expectations are, we all know it, to win a World Series. Literally the highest expectation you could possibly have for a baseball team. And that's where the Yankees are. Their expectation is to reach that standard of winning a World Series. So, am I really that tough on them? What do you want me to say? It's not like their expectation is... It's not like they're this, middle market club who is just trying to reach relevancy. It's not like they're... if you watch me as a Knicks fan, I'm going nuts this year because they're 500. If I was a Knicks fan being mad at them being a 500 team and saying, oh, they're so mediocre, they're so average, they're very inconsistent, they win one game, then they'll lose the next, that would be irrational because I'm out of the world of that expectation. But, the Knicks are never 500 average, inconsistent. We're happy to be at that because they've never been there in a while. They haven't been there in a while. So we're the Yankees. We're trying to win at the top of the top. So me wanting them to be so great, I don't think that's me expecting too much. That's me expecting them to reach the height that everyone's touting them as. This World Series contender. Everybody wants them to be a World Series contender. They have 27 championships. Right? They went out and spent all this money and developed all these players. So you want them to hit that ceiling. So I don't think when people call me spoiled or Yankees fans spoiled, first of all, I don't believe in spoiled. I don't. I believe in being a winner, having a winning mentality. But spoiled? No, I actually, and we might have talked about this on the show before, but I take that term spoiled, I take it as the ultimate compliment when somebody tells me I'm spoiled. I really do. I take it as the ultimate compliment. As an athlete, or a former athlete, now I'm just a fat fuck who sits on Twitter and complains about the games, but as a former athlete, as a competitor, I have that spirit in me, that drive. It's instilled in me, and it's always going to be in me, to always want more. To really, really want the best. And why are we lagging here? That's going to fucking piss me off. Hold on. But that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all... Why the fuck are we lagging? That's what it's all about. All right, let's see if that works. No. Tell you, I can't wait to throw this piece of garbage in the trash. Not the tablet, the software. Throw it in the recycle bin and never use this software again. I can't fucking do it. Never use XSplit. Garbage. Terrible for a podcast. For a video podcast. Dog shit. Dog shit. Let's turn it down and see what happens. Hello, hello. Alright, well, fuck it. I'm gonna have to deal with it. But yeah, I don't take that as an insult. That's any competitor, anybody who's played competitive sports, and anybody who's grown up as somebody who's speaking from my own experience, as somebody who's grown up, fortunately before this, gonna sound like an old man here, Gen Z generation has been developed, and now everybody gets a trophy now. I wasn't exactly born, growing up, I wasn't part of that. We're all winners bullshit. I was growing up, and I was the way I was raised by, my coaches and my peers growing up, and everybody, all the individuals that I've grown up around with sports and everything. I had the mentality that if you're not in first place, you're in last place. And so to me, I'm always thinking of that. How you can always improve. How there is nothing better than to be in first place. But if you're not in first place, there's nothing worse than not being in first place. That's just my mentality. And again, I would love for you to call me spoiled, because that tells me that I'm doing it right. That I'm not sitting here congratulating second place, aka last place. There's no silver trophy for me. There's a gold, and then there's nothing else. There's no silver, there's no bronze. There's gold, and then there's nothing. So I want the Yankees to reach gold. Okay. And so, yeah. That said, I'm happy baseball's back, man. Again. Happy it's back. What the fuck are we lagging for? Hold on. We're going to try and fix this. Because it's back. We kind of talked about it on our last show, at the top of the show. But it keeps coming up. And every time it comes up, it bothers the hell out of me. And I'm not going to go on long here. I'm just going to talk about it for maybe a couple of minutes tops. I can't stand the fact that it keeps coming up too. Because I don't like when baseball gets into this. When any sport gets into, call it politics, societal issues, whatever. But but Commissioner Rob Manfred basically pushed by these corporate sponsors to push the MLB All-Star Game out of Atlanta, Georgia. Basically following what the NBA did not long ago. Moving the All-Star Game out of Charlotte because of the law against allowing men into women's bathroom. That transgender law. And people, first of fucking all, I am so, again, please stay out of politics. If you're a sport league, stay out of politics. That's why so many people get turned off by, the NFL now, and the MLB as soon as Manfred took over, it's like all this shit. And now we're hearing about the MLB All-Star Game being moved because of the voting law that is, they want to require you to have an ID when you've. How is that a fucking bad thing? How does that make you go, oh, this is pathetic, I'm going to move the All-Star Game? How does that have where's the correlation? How does that have anything to do with the All-Star game in baseball. I mean, you need an ID for everything. You need an ID to pick up your tickets at will call. You need an ID to buy a fucking beer at a game. You need an ID for everything in life, to get insurance, to go to college, to do this, that. That's how it works. So to be triggered as the commissioner of baseball, whoever, the players union, to be triggered by this, that you need an ID to vote for who's going to lead you, and to move the All-Star game because of that, it makes me laugh. And I'm just, I don't like speaking politics on this show because this is not what it's about. But when your bullshit leaks into my sport, and now I have my sport getting into politics, that's going to piss me off as a fan. Because I'm there to watch sports. I'm not here for that. But when it comes into the sport, I'm going to have a say. I'm pissed off about that. I don't give a fuck about the All-Star game. I don't watch the All-Star game. I really don't care. But it's not really the point. It's the point, like, why are you getting into politics? I'm just so tired of it all. I'm tired of the fake outrage, and all these, woke, I guess that's the term people are using now. These woke or fake woke, Tom McDonald, leagues folding to these big corporate elite sponsors. I'm so sick of that. And these big media outlets, ESPN, all these big platforms, these journalists, all advocating for it all, of course, to further push that narrative. Kellerman, Keith Olbermann boycotting the Masters because of this so-called racist voting law. He put that on Twitter. He was going to boycott the Masters, and some other ESPN reporter, shockingly, I think his name is Matt Berry, but he just retweeted it, told him to shut up. That's it. He just went, shut up. Shut, period, up, period. It was great. It was fucking great. I think, Charles Barkley said it perfectly, and I'm not going to try and say or repeat what he said because I don't want to butcher it, but he, I think last night during the NCAA tournament, really, really nailed it on some of this shit in politics and how it's kind of separating us. And I don't want to try and paraphrase him at all here because I think it's just search. If you just search Charles Barkley right now, you'll find it. That's all you got to do is search his name. And he pretty much nailed it. He really did. So, but I'm not boycotting shit. As stupid as that decision was for Manfred, I'm watching baseball. Maybe I'll start watching from third-party platforms. No. Hey, at least if I do that, it probably means I won't I don't have to listen to Yes. God, they're brutal. They're brutal, man. I was listening to them today. Ugh, fuck me. I was listening to them today. The pregame, and just because the season just started, I'm just wanting anything. And it's these guys are basically puppets, just shills of the organization. Just being paid by the Yankees to suck up to them for an hour each day and talk about how great they are. That's all it is. Every time you tune into this, like these pre-games, these post-games, these three guys just sit around and basically circle jerk to the end. It's so frustrating to have to listen to them. It's like, can we at least talk about the bad things a little bit more and talk about what we want to work on? Because we haven't reached the top yet, guys. Like I said, we haven't reached that World Series, and they're sitting here, they're talking about how great everything is. And even if they do say something slightly critical, they'll have to put a positive spin on it at the end. It's like today when the Yankees were getting mowed down by these random pitchers out there, and I think Kay brought it up, and he had to say how this kid who was pitching was doing well. You had to credit him. And at one point, he struck out 7 Yankees a couple years ago, so he's had their number, and you got to credit him and stop bashing the Yankees at times. Cohn was saying stuff like that. It's like, really? Like, why can't sometimes, what's the kid? Zooch, or it was Zeke, it was Zuech or something. That was the kid who was pitching against us, and they were just trying to spin it to where they weren't criticizing the Yankees, but they were just talking up how well the Blue Jays were playing. these guys just, and again, they're on their payroll, so I get it. You have to be a shill here, but, whew. Yeah, maybe I'll start watching on third-party apps and watch the other broadcast. I don't know. Yeah, today was the end of the week. It's Sunday as I'm recording. Again, as you are listening, it's the day after Sunday. It's Monday, the day after Easter Sunday. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. This is episode 227 of BD4. Welcome to the podcast. Earlier, well, it was like 12 or maybe 2 weeks ago, 12 or 13 days ago or something, 14 days ago or something like that. I was on the bus heading to school. And like, this guy sees me with a Knicks hat on. This kid about my age, maybe a little younger. It's like, oh, you got a Knicks hat on. I'm so sorry. Like, no, they're doing all right this year. And then he just laughs. And I'm like, all right. But that just shows me how, like, everybody follows just the popular narrative. And how, like, no, he hasn't been paying attention. The Knicks are actually good this year. I just found that funny. That was very random, I know. I was just thinking about it because there's a commercial on it. It was showing the Knicks. It's like a highlight commercial thing on ESPN. But he was like, oh, I'm sorry about that. And he just laughed. I mean, no, they're actually doing good this year. It just reminded me how we talk about it all the time on the show, how people just love following whatever the popular notion is. It's like, no, they're actually doing good if you pay attention. It triggered me. No, it didn't trigger me. It was like, it just made me like think to myself, I'm like, oh yeah, see, I was right. But that was a couple weeks ago. Now I've had a quarantine, isolate myself for about almost, we're coming up on 2 weeks. It's about 10, 11, maybe 12 days now, that I've had to isolate myself because I tested positive. Fortunately, I don't have a single symptom. Maybe like a slight cold, but I don't feel anything. I feel great. So hopefully, it's 2 weeks, right? So I have a couple more days and then I'm good to go. But once I heal up, man, I got to do a lot of things. I just got to get the hell out of this place. And I got to go to some, I'm trying to get to a Knicks game. Got to see the prices there. I'm trying to get to a Yankee game. Got to see the prices there. I'm sure they're not cheap. But it just sucks that this past week and a half to 2 weeks almost, I've just had to sit and just isolate the shit out of myself. But baseball has came back at a perfect time. And the Yankees, although they're off to a slow start, hopefully can take on the Baltimore Orioles for a few days here coming up at the top of the week. So let's get into this series against the Jays. We're going to head to our first break. And as soon as we get back, we'll talk about this Blue Jays series and everything else and stuff. So, yeah, welcome to the podcast. This is episode 227 of BD4. Again, I am your host, RJ Carbone. Thank you for stopping by. If you haven't yet subscribed to this podcast, be sure to do that right now. You can subscribe to the podcast on any feed that you get your podcasts from, iTunes, Spotify, Google, SoundCloud. You can watch this podcast on YouTube. The video version is up on YouTube. And there are many other platforms. Just go to my website for that. My website, my social media, the podcast, the blog, all that information is on my link tree. So just go to my link tree. Just go to linktr.ee/RJ Carbone to get all that information. As a matter of fact, it's a perfect time for a plug. We'll be right back.
Hey fellas, so really quick before we get back into the show, I do want to remind you that if you haven't yet subscribed to this podcast, or subscribed to my blog, or followed me on social media even, you can do all that by going to my link tree. Just go to linktr.ee/rjcarbone. That is linktr.ee/rjcarbone. Guys, thanks so much. Let's get back to the show.
All right. So, opening day. Yeah, opening day was interesting. You were just happy. First of all, again, I was just happy to have baseball back at all. But it was interesting. It wasn't exactly wonderful. Yankees took the 3-2 loss in extra innings. Right, the game goes 10 innings, and they take the loss. You had Garrett Cole. Big Garrett Cole, your ace. $314 million man. Taking the bump. First inning, him and Gary look good together. They go 1-2-3. Second inning comes, top of the second. Still 0-0 game, but it kind of gets a little iffy here. You know, Cole surrenders 3 consecutive singles. One of them scores a run, 1-0 Jays. Then manages to get out of the inning. Gets Teles to pop up and then recorded a pair of strikeouts. 1-0 Toronto. Bottom of the second comes Gary Sanchez. Going yard. A 2-run bomb off of Ryu into the left field bleachers. That puts the Yankees up 2-1 after 2 innings. Garrett Cole finally starts to find that rhythm. Him and Gary, again, still working pretty good. A clean third inning, a clean fourth inning, and a pretty good fifth inning as well. He finds the slider, and he's, next thing you know, you look up 5 innings, he's got a 2-1 lead. Sixth inning comes though, and I think it's Teoscar Hernandez. He hangs a slider to him, and it's a solo shot. That puts it at 2-2. Next batter comes Vlad Guerrero Jr. Wow. You just have a realization in the middle of when you're having a conversation. Just hit me that I watched Vlad's senior play. Now I'm watching his fucking son. I feel so old, dude. I'm 26 in a couple weeks, but I feel like I'm 46. Wow. So officially, I'll be 26. So technically, I'll be closer to age 50 than I was when I was born. I'm past 25, so I'm technically closer to 50 than I am to 0, which is crazy. I'm so old. So he walks Vlad, and Aaron Boone pulls him for Chad Green. The game's 2-2. Green comes in, does a nice job. Green, it's lasagna, and it's Darren O'Day, who really do a good job completing the rest of regulation. The final few innings, and they go to extras tied 2-2. Extra inning comes. It's the top of the 10th. Nick Nelson comes in for the Yankees. 2-2 game. But you got the runner on second base, and he gives up, a double over Aaron Judge's head. Should he have gotten there? Maybe, maybe not. Judge says he should have. But maybe he's just being Judge. And that brings the runner home. 3-2. And the bottom of the 10th comes this fucking Jerry Merriweather guy. Very impressive. I feel like we're going to be talking about him a lot this year. Jerry Merriweather impressively strikes out the Yankees 1-2-3. Just with total ease. Hicks looking, and I think it was Stanton and Torres swinging, if I can remember correctly. And the Yankees drop that game. They lose. So, but first off, I hate that extra inning rule, dude. I hate it. I was so mad because I did not know they brought it back. So I was going into this 10th inning here thinking, oh, yes, an extra inning. But then I see the guy on second. I'm like, are we really doing this again? Are we doing it again? Last year I gave him a pass, man. It was a fake weird season. It was an experimental, whatever you want to call it, season. But it's back this year. Why? They said it was because they wanted the playoff format to go back to normal, so they did this. Why do you have to do anything? Why can't you just keep it? There was in the 10th inning too. Like, you can't wait a couple innings to go with that bullshit. In the 10th inning, really? That gimmick? It's not baseball. It's not natural. It's video game shit. That's the main reason why I hate it. It's video game shit. It's not baseball. Baseball's all about natural. You have to earn every bit of what you do is earned. Every pitch is so important because you don't want to make that mistake and let a guy on base. Or as a batter, you don't want to make that mistake and get out. So why would you just, let's just put a runner on there for no reason who did not earn it? Immediately put the pitcher in more disadvantage. Why? And I'm not, I swear to you, I'm not saying it just because the Yankees lost. Because of that. Excuse me. I'm just mad. I never liked it. I never liked that rule. Regardless, they didn't lose the game single-handedly because of that. They had their own issues. There's, much like we're going to talk about this entire series, there was a lot of soft contact in game one. A lot of weak contact. There's nothing solid hit. Judge, LeMahieu, even, coming up in some big opportunities, but could not cash through. Could not cash in. They were 1 for 9 together for a single. Judge, in that 7th inning of game one, had the bases loaded. 1 out. 2-0 count against David freaking Phelps, former Yankee. But of course, now a Yankee killer. If you're not a Yankee, you're becoming a Yankee killer. That's how it works. And Judge, very feebly grounds into a 6-4-3 to end the inning. In the 9th, tie game, you had Sanchez get on base. Tauchman pinch runs. He steals second. He steals third. So you got DJ now at the plate. First and third, 1 out. He rolls over a slider weakly into the third base side. I think it's Biggio who throws out Tauchman going home when he probably shouldn't have. He was out by a mile. DJ can't come through. The next batter up in Judge. 2 outs, first and second now. He strikes out on 5 pitches. And they were saying how he's never had a walk-off hit in his entire career so far. Kind of shocked by that, but at the same time, not really. Because he hasn't really had that big alpha moment as a Yankee looking back now. I just don't remember, So, not shocking at the same time. So overall, the Yankees go 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. They strike out 13 times, and they leave 10 men on base. At least Gary was good. He had the home run, the walk, and he even threw a runner out to end the inning. One of the innings. It was like the 7th, maybe. It was an okay day for Cole. Again, it worked better with Sanchez, much better than we saw last year with him, when they were just constantly miscommunicating and shit. But he looked better with Sanchez. It was an okay day for him. Excuse me. But again, with the home run ball, last year we saw a lot of that home run ball. Towards the end of his outings, he would give up a bomb to kind of fucking, lessen his line a bit. But we'll have to see what happens. I think last year a lot of the homers came off fastballs. I'm pretty sure. I have to double check, but this one came off a hanging slider. So maybe it was just a mistake. Hopefully he can kind of tone it down with the homers this year. But again, 5 1/3. 5 1/3 in a couple of runs. So wasn't dominant against the Jays, but for a first outing, whatever, it's fine. Spoke to the media after and basically, took accountability, said, he wished he could have that slider back. I like when he's talking to the media. I think it was Kay who was making a good point. Cole is very therapeutic when he speaks to the New York media, and I love that. He's very therapeutic. it's like speaking to the media helps him. He's curious. He's a very curious dude. And he's a master of his class. He wants to learn. He loves discussion. So I kind of like that a lot about Cole. I dig that. You know who's not great with the media? Gary Sanchez. I don't like to be this guy, but Gary's been in their organization since what? He was like 16, 17 years old. He's 28 years old now, and he still doesn't even attempt to speak to them. Like, it's important in New York to have relations here. And that's why I applaud guys so much, like Gleyber Torres. I applaud the hell out of him because he's not the greatest English speaker, but he's so I just have so much respect because he's been ever since, even in his rookie year, man. Since his rookie year, he said, "Nope, I'm going to try to do this myself," and he tries every day, and he gets better every single day at speaking to the media, and he does a hell of a job. And I take that serious. I feel like there's a leadership thing there. There's an accountability thing there. And if you're one of these leaders on this team, it's important that you're able to man up and speak to them face to face, not using, at least attempt to speak without a translator. And that's why I respect so much Gleyber Torres doing that. Right away, since he came up to the big leagues, he's been trying to speak on his own. I love it. But yeah, Cole's very therapeutic. I like that he's always trying to learn shit and kind of have discussions with the guys, asking them questions. So then we have the off day, which I always freaking hate having the off day. Everybody does after the first game of the season. It's such a tease. It's like you get baseball back after a big layoff, and now you gotta wait another day. It's like you just teased us with opening day. And now we gotta wait. And not only that, we had to wait after a loss. That's the fucking worst. That is the fucking worst. But, Saturday came. 1 o'clock game again. And the Yankees bounce back. They pick up a 5-3 victory. A better performance. Pitching. It was fine. Nothing special, but it was fine. The bullpen, another bullpen heavy game. I count the whole pitching thing so far to pitch counts. The pitch count monster of April. It's early in the season. We're kind of easing our way there. I understand that. So I'm gonna give guys like Cole, Kluber, a little bit of a break, especially Kluber because he hasn't pitched in a while. But he was good. The offense scored 5 runs on Saturday. 11 hits, 6 walks, 4 for 10 in scoring position. 10 strikeouts. So they were better. Kluber goes 4+ innings. Lets up 2 runs, 1 earned. Strikes out 5. Allows 9 base runners. Hit a batter. Walked about 3. And then a couple of hits. The control wasn't exactly there. But he used the curveball to get some early strikeouts. I think his first 3 strikeouts came on the curve. And then later on, throughout the game, I guess, he escaped a couple of big jams using his fastballs. The velocity on his fastball wasn't exactly where I wanted it. He's never been a big velocity guy, but he was like, most of the time it was like high 80s, some low 90s fastballs. But he was what I liked is he was moving it. It was cutters, it was sinkers, it was 2-seamers tailing. So he had a good game. Gary again homered. A couple infield hits for DJ, for Aaron Hicks, and later on a bloop from Jay Bruce to kind of gain separation there from the Jays. But you go back to the top of the first, it looked troubling. Right, you get the leadoff single by Marcus Semien past Torres. Then you get the fly ball to Torres, which he loses in the sun. And right away, just in front of us, you're thinking, oh, this is the baseball gods telling us. Don't forget that Torres is not a great shortstop and that Frazier has had his issues in the outfield. It was like literally right in front of you. But fortunately, Kluber uses the fastball. I think he throws a cutter to get Bichette to ground into a 5-4-3, and then he K'd Teoscar Hernandez. Top of the second inning comes. Kluber hits Vlad. And but then he gets, I think it's gets the 4-6-3 to the next batter. Grounding the ball to LeMahieu for the 4-6-3. And then he Ks Rowdy Tellez. So it gets out of a couple of jams. Bottom of the second comes. Gio Urshela singles. Frazier doubles. And then DJ with the infield single to plate the first run for New York off of Stripling. Stripling, I don't know. But that makes it 1-0 Yankees after 2 innings. Top of the third comes. You get that throwing error by Gary. The Jays tie it up 1-1. Top of the fourth comes. Kluber escapes another jam. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Throws a sinker to Yankee killer Jansen. Him and Grichuk are the fucking devil. And the fielder's choice gets him out of the inning. Bottom of the fourth, Gary makes up for that throwing error. Another home run. Yanks go up 2-1. Later in the inning, Stripling pulled for Tyler Chatwood. Judge and Hicks go back-to-back with singles off Chatwood. This makes it 3-1. That Hicks infield single. Right up the middle. Fifth inning comes. Top of the fifth, you got Marcus Semien again, making it 3-2 with the home run. Kluber then pulled for Johnny Lasagna. And Lasagna's been good so far. His first outing of the year here, or second outing of the year here, in Game 2, he pitches 2 perfect innings, where he strikes out 3 of the 6 batters he faced. Yanks scored 1 more in the bottom of the 6th when Jay Bruce bloops one, I think it's to left field. So that scores 2. And the Yanks go on to win 5-3 eventually. That kid Lucky, Luke, I don't fucking know, Lucas Slut. Fucking guy's name is hard to pronounce. I don't really pay attention to him, but it was his first time pitching in like 2,000 something days, so that was pretty cool. He hasn't pitched since 2015. Luke, Luck, I don't fucking know. He let a run off of a soft hit, a couple wild pitches, but for his first time in thousands of days, man, looked pretty fine. Expected to be a little rusty. Lasagna looks great early. The stuff's always been great with him, but it's always about the command. So far, he's got his... It looks like the control and the command is there. But we'll see. He's going to have to play a big role. The pen is pretty shallow, so... we'll need him. O'Day got into some trouble there, putting a couple runners on, but then Green gets the 4-out save. He looked strong early on, too. That was Game 2. Yanks picked up the victory. A better performance from them. And then there's today. There's Easter Sunday. Not exactly the crispest performance for the Yankees. They lose this one 3-1. They just... Another dud offensively. Another dud. 1 run on 5 hits and 2 walks. They were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Left 5 men on base. They couldn't even put traffic on the bases. At least the first game, they left a lot of runners on, but at least they got on base. This afternoon, they just weren't even putting runners on base. And this was against some mediocre pitching. They just couldn't put runners on. The top 4 hitters were 2 for 15. There was just a lot more weak contact once again. And not even strikeouts, just a lot of weak contact. I only think they struck out 6 times. Just some weak contact. Not barreling up the ball. Couple liners early on from Judge and DJ, but that was really it. That was it. Herman pitches, very disappointing. But, again, guy didn't pitch the entire season last year. We're going to have to wait and see how these guys do. It's going to be iffy. There's a lot of question with this rotation, man. You got a lot of guys who haven't pitched in a while. Herman goes 3 innings. That's it. Lets up 4 hits, 3 of them for extra bases, 2 of them left the park. 3 runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. So very, very underwhelming performance. First inning, he worked around that double, eventually got out of it. But the second inning came, he was tagged for that leadoff home run against Vlad. Then he lets up a single to Gurriel. Then leaves a changeup over the plate for Randall Grichuk again. Fuck this guy, man. Every year. And that's a 2-run bomb. So the Jays have the 3-0 lead. Just like that. In the second inning. Yankee bats mustered up just 1 run. Just 1 run. And it was due to Clint Frazier's hustle, pretty much. He gets that bloop double to right field. Drops in there in the 5th inning where he hustled pretty much right out of the fucking box. He just fucking hustled, and he ended up getting 2 bases out of that. That's why I love the guy. He's always hustling. He's fast, too. Hustles out the box. Gets the 2-bagger. Ends up getting a third on Gio Urshela's fly out. And then ends up scoring on Gardy's ground out. Gardy batted 9th, he batted 9th today. As Stanton got the much-needed day off after a couple of games at DH. So it was 3-1, and that was really it. If there's a positive from today, Michael King was fucking fantastic in relief. He threw 6 very strong innings. Allowed just 1 hit. I believe he retired 16 in a row to end the game. He was fabulous. Very impressed with him. And for a guy who's working on that 3rd pitch, he threw the changeup a little bit last year, but now he's trying to mix it in. But he's got the fastball that he relies on, that sinking 2-seamer, whatever he calls it. And he's kind of got that cutter/slider, I think. So he did a really good job, man. Really impressive performance. That's going to, with a bullpen that's pretty shallow as it is, hopefully he can keep this up. 16 in a row to end the game. So he was good. He didn't, the Yankees didn't have to waste any arms. Despite him, Domingo Herman going only 3. So he saved some arms in that bullpen, which was huge. But again, the Yankee bats just miserable, just lifeless, listless, dead. They stranded runners in the 2nd inning. They stranded people in the 3rd. They stranded guys in the 4th, 5th, and the 6th. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th all had runners on base and could not get them through. But for the rest of that game, we pretty much just went down without a fight. I think we were 0 for our last 11. The Yankee bats. So overall in this series, not pretty, man. Just 4 for 24 with runners in scoring position. That's 167? It's not good. You got to cash in. You got to bring guys home. Got to do a better job. Plug time.
Hey fellas, so really quick before we get back into the show, I do want to remind you that if you haven't yet subscribed to this podcast, or subscribed to my blog, or followed me on social media even, you can do all that by going to my link tree. Just go to linktr.ee/rjcarbone. That is linktr.ee/rjcarbone. Guys, thanks so much. Let's get back to the show.
One of the things I don't love about this lineup. Listen, the Judge and the 2-hole thing, I've always hated that. But I'm so used to it now, it's like, that's never going to change. I've lost hope there. But I do not like Aaron Hicks as our number 3. I don't get it. The only thing I hear from people is he gets on base, he gets on base, he gets on base. That's fine. Let him get on base in the 9-hole. I want the number 3 hitter of my team being the best all-around hitter. Being the guy who can hit the ball. Who gets on base, but gets on base because he hits, because he does some damage. Has some power, but has contact, bat-to-ball abilities. And can hit consistently. I don't love Aaron Hicks being that guy. And also, I also hear the whole, he's a switch hitter, so he splits up the righties. It's not enough. I don't love Hicks in the third. I don't love having a 225 hitter at 3. No, not just because he can bat lefty and get on base at a 360, 370 clip. No. I need more. Not for number 3. I don't want him batting number 3. No. No fucking way. I don't love Torres in the cleanup, too. I feel like he tries to do too much. Hopefully Torres can bounce back, man. I had high hopes for him as a prospect. And he's been great so far. He was fantastic his first 2 seasons. He's been flawless in the postseason, man. But he had a down year in 2020 in the regular season, so you can hope that he bounces back. But a lot of what Torres, when he struggles, a lot of it's in his head. It's all about the focus on both ends of the diamond, too, for him. I didn't think anybody really looked great this series at the plate, other than Gary. Ironically enough, Gary. He had the 2 home runs and a walk. Catching kind of regressed in those last 2 games, but it's a better start than we're used to. So hopefully he can use that as confidence, because that's all it's about. That's all it's about. Is confidence with Gary. But yeah, other than maybe Jay Bruce being pretty decent and DJ LeMahieu kind of waking up these last 2 games a little bit, nobody's really been hot though, right? Gio hasn't really gotten it going yet. Judge has looked dreadful in these big spots. Got to be that alpha, man. Got to be the alpha. Or to talk him up like one, he's got to be the alpha. He's got what? 2 seasons to prove himself before he's due for a payday. Not only does he have to stay healthy, he's got to produce now. Everybody says if he's healthy, he's a top 5, arguably top 3 player in baseball. Well, you got to show it now. Yeah, man, I didn't think the offense was good at all. Now, funnily enough, I actually think the offense will be fine. At least in the regular season, right? The postseason's a different animal. We will not go there. But I think as far as the regular season goes, I think the offense will be fun. This is just who they are, right? They are a home run or nothing team. So they're going to hit homers for a week, and then they're going to have a series or 2 where they produce nothing. And I guess we're just starting the season, on one of our cold streaks. Last season we got off to a really scorching hot start, but for the most part, the last couple of years before that, we've kind of gotten off to slow starts. And maybe it's the weather, still a bit cold, it's not warm yet. I never like that because other teams are hitting in the same weather and they're winning. So I'm just hoping that I think they'll come around eventually to an extent, right? I think the offense will wake up. We have an offense built to put up ridiculous numbers in the regular season. I think that's just a matter of time. You're going to be streaky. That's who they are. They hit home runs, they strike out, and they walk. 3 things. That's it. If they're not hitting the homers, they're not really doing much. So they're going to come. I think they'll come along. It's actually the pitching that I'm concerned about. And the starters haven't impressed me yet, but they haven't really worried me. It's early for them. But I am a bit concerned about the bullpen. It's a very shallow bullpen. The best names in the bullpen we have, one of them's our closer. But the best names in middle relief and in late relief, Zach Britton's on the DL for a while. Justin Wilson is supposed to be one of our bigger names, and it's Justin Wilson. Chad Green is good. Okay, so I'll give you 2 or 3 of those guys. But who do you have after that? You're relying on Johnny Lasagna. He doesn't have a resume that exactly scares you yet. You're relying on Nick Nelson. He pitched to a high 4 ERA last year. He's nothing special yet. Like, it's a lot of question. You're banking on guys to have breakout years. If this bullpen is to be, no worse than top 15, you're banking on some guys to have breakout years, right? Because it's just that shallow. And with the rotation, again, you got a lot of guys who haven't pitched in a bit. Got Corey Kluber. It's going to be his first time pitching in about 2 years. He hasn't pitched much in the last 2 years. James Centillon, same thing with him. Domingo Germán, didn't play the entire season last year. Severino, coming back in a couple months. He hasn't pitched in forever. So you're relying on everybody to stay healthy. You're relying on them to get back on track as soon as they can. So after Garrett Cole, it's like we've got to have some guys step up. We have to have some breakout performances from maybe Tyone. I'm hoping he breaks out. I'm hoping that Jordan Montgomery is a little bit better than he was last year. I'm hoping that Domingo Germán can become that 18-win pitcher he was a couple years ago. Again, a lot of this pitching staff is based on them peaking out at their high ceiling, right? And not that I'm saying I prefer lower ceiling, higher floor guys. No, you always want guys with talent, but the guys that we have, talented pitchers that we do have, also have very low floors where injury could fuck everything up, or underachievement is not that out of the ordinary with somebody like, Corey Kluber at age 38. He could very well not really pitch well. Or Tyone could very well get hurt, struggle with the arm. It's not that out of the ordinary. We've seen Severino have up and down seasons. So that's what I'm concerned about. It's not the offense right now. As bad as the offense was, as dead as they were, as zombie-like as they were, as much as they were sleepwalking, pathetically just dead through these first couple of games, these first 3 games, as much as they were doing all that, I'm not exactly worried about them in the regular season. I think they're going to wake up at some point or another. They'll do damage in the regular season. They'll get you wins. It's the pitching staff that I hope can be enough. And that's the rotation and the pen to win us this division this year and bounce back. So we're 3 games in. It's okay. The world is not over, but hopefully the starters can give us some length, and hopefully we can get some good innings, effective innings from the pen. Because the starters have almost 16. You have almost 16 innings from the bullpen already, and that's like 4 more innings from the starters. They've given us 12. So, I hope we can actually get some length here from our starters. I hope the pitch count monster of April is all it's going to be. I hope we can start ramping these guys up. So, opening series in the books. Yankees not exactly great, but just happy baseball is back. So happy they're back that I'm watching the fucking Angels play on Sunday Night Baseball. And I never watch the Angels. I know Mike Trout's playing, but so I'm just happy we're back. So we'll see what happens, guys. Yeah. Excuse me. I think that's it. We've got the O's up next. 6:30 tomorrow night, and that's baseball season truly begins when you get your first night game during the week, right? It's a 6:30 game. I prefer the 7 o'clock games to really kick off the season for me, but it's a 6:30 game, so it's a night game. I just, that's when you get the feeling that baseball is back. You're home on the couch, you're chilling, you just ate dinner, and you're watching, you're flipping through the channels, and the Yankees are on, putting the Yanks on. Or for me, I know the Yankees are on. I'm not flipping through the channels. Put them on, chill for the rest of the night, watch the game. Windows, I got a window right in my studio. Nothing but darkness, just black, not nighttime. It's fucking baseball season, man. That's it. That's it. That's all it is. Perfect way to cap off your night with the baseball game. Yankee baseball. So we're back, guys. We're back. Yankees are back. And hopefully we can kind of spark something here and pick up a few wins in this Baltimore. Hopefully we can sweep the Baltimore Orioles because, it's the Baltimore Orioles. While they might be slightly better this season, they're still going to be most likely in the basement, all depending on what the Boston Red Sox do. So we need to beat them. We need to sweep them, in my opinion. Hopefully we wake up and get going. So Yankees finished up the opening series 1-2. And let's get to the question of the day. So, last time out in episode 226, I asked you guys, it was April 2nd, I said, on April 2nd, 2013, the Knicks beat the Miami Heat behind Carmelo Anthony's game high in points. How many points did he score in that game? That was the question. So, it was on that day, April 2nd, 2013, where the Knicks downed the Miami Heat behind Carmelo Anthony's game high in points. How many did he score? He scored 50 points on the Heat, right? That was the game where he scored 50 points on them with straight up jumpers. Straight up fucking jumpers. The ultimate disrespect to Shane Battier. Straight up jump. He scored 50 points without a single layup. Unbelievable. When he was in his prime, man, there was no better bucket getter. I don't care. None. All right. This episode's NYK question of the day, episode 227. So the Yankees scored 2 runs on opening day this year and lost. They scored 2 runs and they lost on opening day. When was the last time they scored no more than 2 runs and lost on an opening day? So when was the last time they did that? Scored at most 2 runs and took a loss on opening day. Give me the year. That's all I need. All right, so message me the answer on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or just comment the answer once I publish the promo or the link to this podcast. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Episode 227 of the podcast. I am your host, RJ Carbone. If you haven't subscribed yet to BD4, be sure to subscribe to this podcast right now. You can find BD4 on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, SoundCloud. You can watch us on YouTube. So many platforms this podcast is on. If you want to find all those platforms, if you want to read my blog that I write on the Yankees and the Knicks, and if you want to follow me on social media, all that stuff, you can find that on my website. You can find that on my link tree. So just go to my link tree. Go to linktr.ee/RJ Carbone. That is linktr.ee/RJ Carbone. That will take you into my link tree, which displays all the links to where you need to reach me at and follow me at and subscribe to me at. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by episode 227 of the podcast. This is your host, RJ Carbone. And I'm signing out for this one. Let's hope the Yanks can bounce back. I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.
This podcast is sponsored by Anchor.